And it was at that moment, I just boop, popped out of my body.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another one. Today we're getting into an NDA story. It has a silver lining and a message. Let's get into that video.
I'm Vina Hill, and I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My parents were like working middle class. They sent me to public school and then to Catholic school. No real strong religious background or belief system. During the latter years of high school, it was like, let's do something fun and exciting, you know? And we decided on like a class trip. And then it was like, where should we go? We decided on Italy. I didn't sleep, I don't think, 2 minutes on the flight. I was just so excited. By the time I got off the flight, I was exhausted. And it was just daytime when we arrived, like in the morning. And I remember I was just so tired. And I decided, you know what? I've got these vitamin pills. My mother's an avid vitamin taker. And so I've got these vitamin pills, and I had taken some no-dose pills. No-dose pills are basically just like pure caffeine. I would take them because we were taking tests and I would have to study and make sure I passed in the SATs and this and that. It would give you a jolt of energy if you took them as you were supposed to. Of course, I didn't. I don't even know how many I took, but I took a ton of them. And I was shoving them in my mouth like they were just, you know, candy. I remember gulping them down, and some of them fell out in the fountain there, and I picked it back up and shoved them back in my mouth.
Yo, Try, that's crazy to be taking that much caffeine.
By the time the chaperone got us together and we're loading our stuff onto the bus, I remember starting to feel a little change in my body, my system, something wasn't quite right. I remember the first thing I started feeling was this tingling under my skin. My heart was racing a little bit. And that was sort of like a little precursor to what was coming. And I remember we had already started taking off. And I just got to the point where I literally felt like I could jump out of my skin. And I remember sort of just like, I was leaning over like this, and my heart started really racing, like really racing, to the point where I started hearing it. And I don't know if anyone has ever had that feeling, but it's a super weird feeling because you don't hear anything else but your heart. And it got to the point where I could hear it, boom, 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 boom. And I just was like, oh, what the? You know, what is this? And at some point, it just reached a crescendo, like it just stopped with the boom, 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 and it started super slowing down. And that's when I really became so terrified. If someone had screamed at me, I'd have never heard it. I'm only hearing my heart racing and then slowing down and slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. And I remember the absolute moment it stopped.
Dang.
That's the most terrifying moment I've ever had in my life. And it was at that moment, I just boop, popped out of my body.
That's crazy right there, man. You can hear your heart stopping. Think about the feelings that, like, what would be going through your mind? You just feeling your joint just slow down, and it just stop.
Instantaneous. No loss in consciousness whatsoever. And I remember I had the view of my body, but I also had a omnidirectional view. And I remember seeing my body, not realizing that I died. And I'm looking at this me that's laying there, and I was almost unrecognizable because your body, when you're looking at it from a complete view, it's not like the mirror view. It's a completely different look. You're like clay, formed clay sort of. And I'm looking at myself and I know it's me, but I don't feel it connect. There were two types of feelings I was having. The first one was sort of trying to figure out what the hell just happened, because I'm not dead. No way. I can't be. I'm so alive. And I felt great. Like I just felt, you're not ever like as a teenager, your body feels great. Like you're almost invincible, right? Well, imagine that times like 1,000. That's how I felt. But I'm also seeing this physical realm in a way that I've never dreamed possible I could see it before. And so I'm in awe. When I was purely consciousness, okay, things were not as dense to me. I could see all the layers of things. And I'm seeing all these little energy patterns everywhere, like little waves of energy everywhere. And I'll never forget this. There was this metal bar at the front of the bus that people usually hold on to if they're getting ready to exit or whatever. And I remember there was literally energy coming off that bar, this inanimate object. The bus driver at some point cursed loudly at the traffic, and it just drew my attention to him. I was able to see through his exterior physical body because, like I said, I saw the full spectrum of things. And because of that, I knew also that he was like sickly. And other things came up about him, about his life, and I knew that he was cheating, and he had a couple of kids, and they weren't all by the same woman, and I was seeing all the energy that was being emitted from him, his life.
That's crazy. She could see everything about the man just by looking at him. Wonder if like those spirits up there, those wandering spirits and what people call angels, if that's what they see when they look at us.
There was energy coming from the people on the bus. Other people's energy, it was very pulsing and alive. But at the same time, I'm looking at my body and there's very little energy coming off my body. But at some point, there was a presence that overlaid my consciousness and drew me towards it and just kind of took me completely out of the bus. Not forcibly, but enough to where I wasn't really in control. And it took me into a white realm. Not even a room, because it didn't have the limitations or the confinement of a room or even a space. It was just a realm of the purest whiteness that you could ever imagine. I knew that there was a being that did this, but the identity of the being wasn't revealed to me. It was sort of like you meet a stranger and you converse with the stranger, okay, and it's a friendly type of conversation, interaction, but they don't tell you their name. It wasn't like a complete stranger, like, gee, I know this person from somewhere. I just not sure where. They know me. They've got all the details about me. I just can't pinpoint where I know them from. I was around this extremely friendly stranger who was emitting these beautiful, loving vibes. I knew I could trust them instinctively. But they were very hands-off, standoffish initially, allowed me to feel this realm out, allowed me to just experience it. My energy merged seamlessly in this realm, harmoniously in this realm. I was it was me. It was just a complete merging of my being into this realm. And I didn't want to ever be anywhere else. That was it. It was like I was home. Within this realm, I got to connect with different worlds, different creations. I experienced just an influx of so many different facets of existence. And believe me, this is a tiny part of it.
Yeah, Tribe. I've had experience with other creations as well. And yo, it's all from what I seen, it's all type of creations out there, all type of beings out there that you wouldn't even imagine. Like the stuff they show in the movies is real. Like
tiny, minuscule part of it. There was like a transference of a whole thought. So imagine a thought having color, feeling, any sound, anything that you can imagine, but being transferred inaudibly. And that's how I received information from this entity who explained to me that they were my spiritual companion. We call them guides. They didn't impart a lot of information to me as far as like a lot of the missing gaps of information that I have or had as a teenager back then. But there were some things that they did show me. One in particular that's, embarrassing a tad bit is showing me all the things I had stolen as a teenager. I was like a little petty thief, and they kind of showed me everything I had stolen. At some point, I let them know I really wanted to be like a famous ballerina, and they imparted to me that they showed me the entire picture of me thinking I really wanted to be a ballerina, but showing me in a mere thought, I didn't put the work that I needed to do into becoming a ballerina. I didn't even really strive for it like I should have. The energy just wasn't there for it, and it just wasn't my purpose. And they put all that in one thought, and I understood, and I accepted it. And then I saw how me taking the no-dos wasn't actually just an accident or a flippant type thought. It was literally an energy path that I was supposed to take.
Some of this stuff, some of these decisions that we make, we try to make the right decisions and we try to control everything. And truly, we can't control everything because some things are just on our path, our spiritual path, because we wanted to know these things before we came down here to experience it and to learn and to grow spiritually, whatever that may mean on the other side. So yeah, but it's kind of hard when you're in the flesh because you think that you're supposed to control these things and you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that and you want to do this and you want to do that, but some things just not in the card for you, Tribe.
It's literally supposed to happen that way. I learned about our soul being the highest aspect of ourselves, and I was in the presence of my soul. And let me tell you something, it's an extremely humbling experience. It's like meeting a totally different person that you idolize, except it's you. It's the purest aspect of you. And that's why I say this is just a sliver of existence and who we are, because your soul never incarnates, never leaves that realm. It's just on a level that it just can't be broken up or sectioned, but it sends offshoots, and this is one of the offshoots. But meeting my soul was just the most divine, beautiful experience I've ever experienced. Okay.
I try to ask a controversial question, right? What we say, I don't even know if I want to ask it, but what we say that higher part, that higher self of you is God, or is a part of the collective that we call God that is within you? That's a question, Tribe. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think, or maybe y'all might have a different conclusion. Let me know, man.
We're just connected to the all of everything. This I can tell you, there's no up, down, left or right. Like there's no end to it. Space is vast. And then when you're looking at it from the perspective I was looking at it, I was seeing not only the space that we're going to see through our telescopes here, okay, but I was seeing between levels of it. So I was seeing different parts of it that we're not going to see. And it was just unbelievable. I saw these orbs traveling out in space, and they were going different directions. You could tell they were traveling somewhere with purpose because the orb kind of changed shape a little bit. I remember kind of being a little fascinated by that. You just see it like, sort of like a slipstream that you could see moving. And I'm like, oh my God, they're like, just like me.
Now I seen on another NDE, right, that the lady said that those orbs were actually people, like the people's spirit, rather than what we would call a UFO. I don't know. I've experienced them.
It was so mind blowing. It's like, whoa. So these are, they were like the different dimensional beings.
Yeah.
Traveling through. It's so much going on out there. The very last experience that I had was being taken to this garden that was just, everything was just alive. And in so many different species of plants that I couldn't even imagine. Some of them I've never seen here on Earth. You know, I was interacting with them and I had the most beautiful, I call spiritual dance with one of the flowers. And I can't even describe to you the flower because it's nothing like I've ever seen. But we were like ballerinas dancing together, but in perfect sync, in perfect harmony. It just infused me with love and a sense of life beyond just what I knew life to be, like a life of living love, like just living it. Everything I did, just every move I made was just a loving, purposeful move. And we did this dance and it was incredible. I went from being this tiny little teenager from Philadelphia in high school on a trip to Italy, but now I had seen a whole different world, a whole different part of existence that I didn't even know existed. Mm-hmm. So the very last thing I asked my guy was, how should I live now? What should I do now? Because how can I top this? How can I even be as good as this?
Right.
And I was given the most simplest but loving answer. And it was basically just live, be kind, but just enjoy the life that I was sort of squeezed into here.
Tribe, and I think that's a big thing right there. It'd be hard to enjoy it though, man. It's just like the people down here right now controlling this world. It makes it hard to really enjoy it. I mean, maybe that's a lesson that we got to learn when we down here. Maybe that's why it's the way it is, but it just be so hard, Tribe. It'd be hard to enjoy it. I don't know, maybe some people it's easy, but Tribe, I don't know, man. It'd be hard, man.
Call it squeezed into because at that point I felt so expansive and so alive and so magnificent. So live the best way I could in this life that I was focused on. And that stuck with me ever since. I've never forgotten it. That was our very last interaction. I wasn't told or given a choice. Hey, do you want to go back or do you want to stay? There was none of that. All I knew is the very next thing was I was going through a different type of portal. It started out extremely ethereal, but it picked up density. It almost felt like I was going through mud, a sort of muddy type of water. And then it felt super heavy, the heaviness of it. And trying to connect back to feeling and the sensations of this body was not easy.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is, man. It's just like it's so heavy down here. The flesh is just so heavy on you. And just the way it is down here, it's just heavy, man.
Think it first. I'm like, okay, my arm, my leg, you know.
It's like playing a video game and you got lag, right? You know how aggravating that is? Like you playing 2K and your joint lagging, like you trying to shoot the ball, you're timing off. That's what it sounds like with her. What she's explaining, lag in video games.
At some point, again, I heard my heartbeat, okay? But it was normal. It wasn't a scary type of heartbeat like I initially felt when it was racing and then slowing down. this was like a normal rhythm. It was trying to get its rhythm back. Finally, by this point, I knew that body had died. And so I almost felt like a stranger in this body at some point. I didn't feel, it felt like I was animating a puppet. That's kind of how it felt. I was pulling the strings and animating a puppet sort of, but I remember being able to twitch and sort of move at some point in my heart, and then I couldn't hear it anymore. And that was a relief. I was like, I was blind when I first really came to and opened my eyes. But that film came down and my sight was completely restored. And I was back in when I first really came to and opened my eyes. But that film came down and my sight was completely restored. And I was back in. Fortunately, no one seemed to notice. And it's amazing to me. None of my friends, none of the people on the bus, the coach, they seemed to notice anything. And if they had, they didn't say anything. But I was so not concerned with them. I was literally coming into my own skin. Literally coming into my own skin.
Yeah, Tribe, I'd have been, I know that gotta be crazy, right? You just died. Nobody even noticed. You come back and now you gotta process leaving the world you just left, whatever you want to call that, and coming back to this world with all the heaviness and all the things that she said. You probably would be freaking out just because a lot of times the people say they don't even want to come back here. They mad that they had to come back. So imagine the feeling of that perfect world and that joyful and loving experience and that light experience, and you coming back to these chains down here. You see what I'm saying? Not to say that down here is so bad, because it's beautiful down here, but just to having a physical body and the lagginess of processing. You see what I'm saying? So that got to be crazy.
I was processing and going over everything in my mind. I remember also yearning for that feeling of love, but it's beyond love. There's a love beyond love, and the only word I can use to describe it is divine love. Okay, nothing religious about it, zero religious, but it's so sublime, it's divine. I was yearning for that feeling again, and I carried it, but it wasn't the same. I wasn't immersed in it. I was just pulling it from a recent memory. So of course, there was no one I could even begin to talk about it to, because I knew the mindset of me and my friends, and they would have been like, what? Like, really? We thought you didn't do drugs. Sure sound like it. But so I couldn't even talk about it. I had to just keep everything to myself. But I remember I was going off on a lot of, so we went on all these
So try, she didn't even tell nobody? That's crazy.
Different places, tours, etc. I remember just walking off by myself on every one of them just about. I just had to be alone. I just kept thinking about everything over and over and over again. And even after I came back from the trip, I couldn't tell my parents or no one.
Dang.
After the trip, I came back. I tried college. I lasted about a year. I came back home. I wasn't doing too much with my life. I had no real purpose. I just had this fantastic experience. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself.
That's crazy, because you would think like after you experience that, maybe you would figure out your purpose there. You know what I mean? But that's crazy to think that she went through all that and she became purposeless, like she couldn't fulfill anything in life, which goes to explain that, because I know down here we think that people supposed to do things in a certain time period, and when you're young you're supposed to go find out what you want to do in life, but everybody don't work on that time scale. Some people don't figure that stuff out till later in life, and I think that's what this world get wrong. Just think about living that experience and then coming back, and then you just so like messed up to where you can't do anything in life. And then think about the pressure that people probably put on her. They don't know that she went through this and she didn't tell nobody. That's heavy as hell.
Me just basically living and realizing there was so much more to this. It was just like it took any ambition that I had of anything and just put it on the back burner. My dad One day he's like, look, I don't care what you do, but you got 30 days, do something. And so that kind of pushed me, and the quickest thing I could do was, go into the military, and that's what I chose. I was in the service for 10 years, and there were times that the harshness of the service and the regimen and and then I became a mother while I was in the service. It kind of pushed the whole near-death experience to the back of my mind. And so I didn't really have a lot of time at that time to really cement it and put it all together into its proper places. Processing this experience has taken me years, and it wasn't something that I could just put right together. So it was a gradual piecing together. One of the main things I learned is that life is not haphazard, and it's not just random. There is no basic thing as luck, as we like to think it. Everything is sort of like pre-planned. We set up different paths that we can take, but they're all going to get us to our overall, what I call like the soul's agenda, the agenda of why we personally and physically came into this existence. There's certain things that we want to either experience, go over, rectify. Typically, this usually isn't our first time around the block. It isn't our first barbecue, as they say. And so we have different things we want to learn, fix, sort of to round out our understanding of things. Someone asked me once, is this real or is this just a hologram? This is very real, but it's like living a play. We're performing a play. It's a serious play, but it's a play. Understanding that has really helped me out a lot through all the different things I've been through in this life. There is a current of love that's behind everything. Everything. Love is literally the basic foundation of everything. It doesn't always show up as pretty. It's got to show up as how we can best see it. But it's always there. Love is literally like the building block of all existence. It's the one cohesive force that just makes everything run. If you can realize this Vina or this you is not separate from the spiritual world, it's just a tiny part of it. You're never separate from it. You are it.
All right, Tribe. Well, that's the end of that video, man. I think I learned a lot from this, watching this video right here, man. What did y'all learn from it? And how y'all feel about it, man? Anyways, go ahead and like and subscribe. Share the video if you liked it. I'm gonna go ahead and holler at y'all boys next time, man. Peace.
You got to win, child. Yeah. You got to win. You got to win. You can't lose. Don't give in. You got to win, win, child. Yeah.